G'day, it's Shane Dowling here from kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now last Wednesday, the 10th of November 2021, the Federal Attorney General Michaela Cash tried to introduce new evidence in the prosecution of Bernard Cleary, who's a whistleblower. It's not really a prosecution, it's a persecution. It's payback for him aiding and abetting his client blowing the whistle on government corruption. And Michaela Cash wanted to introduce new evidence that not even Bernard Cleary or his lawyers were going to be able to see. It was judge-only evidence, apparently. Update on the new national security implications of the case. There was no legal basis for it whatsoever. It was an absolute scandal that Michaela Cash was trying it on. Because only last month, Bernard Cleary won an appeal, so a lot of the evidence that was going to be heard behind closed doors will now be heard in open court. And the Court of Appeal found that it was open court's essential to make sure political prosecutions don't take place. As one of the reasons for determining their judgment that the majority of the evidence will be heard in open court now. Now Michaela Cash and the federal government, Scott Morrison, aren't happy with that, obviously, because it'll expose government corruption, Liberal government corruption under John Howard and the Foreign Affairs Minister at the time, Alexander Downer, and the government are trying to conceal that. They're also trying to send a message to other whistleblowers. Now that was Wednesday the 10th of November. The following day, the government, the federal government, same federal government, announced that they're bringing in new whistleblower laws to protect whistleblowers. They got no shame whatsoever. Now, they were advised 4 years ago that the whistleblower laws weren't good enough at all. So 4 years they've done absolutely nothing. Here we are a couple of months before a federal election, they're announcing they're going to introduce new whistleblower laws to protect public servants. But will they pass those laws before the next federal election? I doubt it. And just smoke and mirrors. But the height of them to announce that the day after they've gone to court trying to tender new super secret evidence that not even Bernard Cleary or his lawyers will be able to see. And obviously they objected and objected strenuously. It wasn't updated evidence, it was new evidence and they shouldn't be allowed, Bernard Cleary's barrister argued. Now, to top that off, we've been waiting over 3 years for a Federal Independent Commission Against Corruption. The government announced that over 3 years ago. And what's happened with it? Nothing. And the one they were suggesting, or the details of the so-called Independent Commission Against Corruption they plan on legislating, is weak as water. It's got no power to do anything. And it certainly hasn't got any power to investigate past abuses, which is what the government would be very, very worried about. People like Angus Taylor and Barnaby Joyce would be looking down the barrels of some serious jail time for their criminal conduct, fraud and theft. They were both involved in the $80 million fraud with the water buyback. Angus Taylor tapped on Barnaby Joyce's door and said, look, can you get rid of the tender process so we can slip this fraudulent deal through? And Barnaby Joyce, who was Minister for Water at the time, said, yeah, not a problem, I'll get that sorted. Got rid of the tender process. His department approached the company associated with Angus Taylor directly, which they're not meant to do. And wham bam, thank you ma'am, they paid over the odds for the $80 million water buyback and never ended up getting anything anyhow. Just a clear and blatant fraud, and went through a company that Angus Taylor set up in the Cayman Islands. It's such a blatant crime, no one does anything. And of course, they would have a great fear that a genuine Federal Independent Commission Against Corruption was set up, because they'd be in a lot of trouble. So you've got a situation where the federal government are stitching up whistleblowers like Bernard Cleary, David McBride and others. Yet at the same time they did on absolutely nothing about the protections for whistleblowers, trying to claim they're going to introduce new laws to protect whistleblowers. A total joke when they were warned 4 years ago it wasn't adequate enough. And to do that a few months out from a federal election shows that they've got no intention whatsoever of ever introducing those laws. If they do, they'll be watered down. Now, I've written an article on the topic on my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia. I published it on the 13th of November, so you can have a look. It's titled Scott Morrison tries to stitch up whistleblower Bernard Collaery. And there's also, obviously, they're trying to stitch up David McBride and Richard Boyle and those sorts of people. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's free. And if you do visit my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia, make sure you join up for the free email notification, and every time I publish a new article, you get an email saying there's a new article there to be read, which is normally about 2 or 3 times a week. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.